In today's tutorial, let's work on a bun hat. We're going to do 3 sizes of the same pattern, and today we're going to be focusing on the one that's labeled within today's tutorial. Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd as well as Yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to be working on the bun hat, and there's going to be 3 sizes of videos. Today it's either going to be 2 to 4, 6 to 8, or adult, and the label of this video is going to be the one that we're going to be focusing on. So this is the original hat right here. It's called Snug with Clusters Hat, and I'm going to be altering this pattern in order for you to make it into a bun hat so that you have a hole right in the center like so. So this is going to be in the back, so the top area will be missing just like this. So what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be rewriting these instructions so that you can pick up where exactly you need to leave off. So for example, right here I would have to change it just a little bit because I have a hole, and because of the hole it then just changes that section only, and then it continues for the remainder of the pattern. Overall this is really quite easy to use, and we are going to be doing a 6.5mm size K crochet hook today, and we're going to be using either Patons Roving just like this, or we're going to use Bernat Roving. Let me tell you a little bit about these 2 brands. So let's take a look at our yarn. You have a choice either using Bernat Roving Yarn, or you can use Patons Classic Wool Roving. Both of the materials are very similar to each other, but there is a slight difference. So Patons Classic Wool here is 100% wool. It feels like wool when you go to touch it, and it's really quite fabulous. The yardage is the same on either of the brands. The other one here, Bernat Roving, is 80% acrylic and 20% wool. So you will see that there's a slight difference here of it in the way that it feels as well. So either one that you have access to is the right choice to go, and this is a really great option. So as I said, we're going to be using a 6.5mm size K crochet hook today, and we're going to be focusing on the size that we're about to begin. To begin, we're going to create a slip knot. Remember, the slip knot never counts as one. Insert your hook into the slip knot, and let's begin. We want to start off by chaining 16. So just chain, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So what I want you to do at this point then is that I want you to insert the yarn into, or insert the hook into the first chain and form the ring like this. So there is the bun hat ring right at the top. Let's begin the next round. To begin the next round, we're just going to jump and we're going to start doing cluster work. And when we did the 2 to 4 years, the clusters were all starting in this chain. The clusters for this is going to start in this chain, but there's going to be more clusters than the one that we just did for the 2 to 4 years of age. So to start any cluster on any round, it has to be a beginning cluster, and how we do that is chaining a 2, and into the same stitch right below you're going to double crochet. Okay, so that is your beginning cluster. So it's chain 2 and double crochet into the same stitch. So in this particular size, what we have to do is that there's 16 stitches going all the way around the ring. We need a total of 20 clusters. That means that we have to add 4 extra clusters somewhere. So it's actually strategic, so don't panic. So I want you to begin, and I want you to chain 1, and into the same one that you just did I want you to do a full head-on cluster. So see this strand here, I want you to trap that into position. So just wrap the hook going into the same stitch, okay, and then pull the yarn through, and then pull through 2 and hold, okay, and then yarn over, same stitch, pull through 2 and then pull through 2 and hold. Okay, so there you go. So now you're just going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. So these 2 clusters, the beginning cluster and this cluster, are into the same stitch. So that's going to help us grow this round. So let's chain 1, and so for the next 3 clusters they're all going to be by themselves. So coming back down to the chain, putting this down on top so that you can trap it underneath, I need you to do a cluster. So wrap the hook going into the next chain, pull through 2 and hold. Yarn over, same stitch, pull through 2 and hold. So that you got 3 loops back on the hook, yarning over, pulling through all 3. Chain 1 and then go to the next chain. See these 2 were into the same ones. This one is just one into the one by itself. So for 3 in a row the clusters sit by themselves. Okay, so do your clusters and then chain 1 and keep moving. So 3 clusters in a row are by themselves. Once you've buried that straggler long enough, you can just simply just trim it out of your work. Okay, so we have 2 clusters wearing the same. You got 3 that are by themselves, so 1, 2, and 3. I have now buried that one long enough. It's gonna get in my way as I film here, so I'm gonna get rid of that now. Just trim it right out. And the next cluster is going to be 2 into the same one. So just I want to chain 1 first, and coming into the next chain I want to put a 1 cluster. So you only do a beginning cluster at the beginning of a round, so you never ever have to do that more than once in a round. I'm gonna pull through, chain 1, and go into the same one again and do another cluster, so that you have 2 clusters in the same one right here. So let's move on. So chain 1, and so for the next 3 they're gonna be clusters by themselves. Do you understand the repeat pattern there? Hopefully you do. Okay, so cluster, chain 1, go to the next stitch and do another cluster. Okay, chain 1 and the next cluster, or sorry, the next stitch is another cluster by itself. Okay, chain 1. So you've done 3 by themselves. What's next? Okay, the next one is 2 clusters into the same one. Okay, make sure you separate those with that chain 1. Okay, so there's 1 cluster, chain 1, and going into the same one again for another cluster. So please repeat that same idea going all the way around, and I'll see at the end of this round. You should have a total of 20 clusters all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 is so far is what I have in here. So continue that same idea going all the way around. As you come all the way around, the final 3 clusters will be by themselves, and that's nothing special. You're keeping it in count to what you're doing. Okay, so you just gotta make sure that you end up with a total of 20 clusters at the end, and if you don't have 20 clusters then something is clearly wrong at this point. So just carrying on. Okay, and make sure you put your chain 1s in between your clusters. So I can see that there was 2 here, and then there's 2 by themselves, and then the final one is the final cluster. Off camera I've already counted just to make sure, and then to finish off, chain 1, and coming into the top of the first beginning cluster you're just gonna join it with a slip stitch just like this. Okay, so there's what it looks like at this point. So let's begin the next round. Now the next round and all the rounds now to the band are gonna be exactly identical to each other. So it's gonna take its time to kind of bell out, and if I show you the other example. So this is kind of where we are right now, and it's just gonna continue to bell and then come down. So what I have to do is that we have to get to a certain amount of inches when we go to do this. So for the size of 6 to 8 years of age we need a total of 6 inches. Now 6 inches is from here all the way to the phantom top. So pretend that you still have a top on it. Because the bun has missing the top, you want to count that as about an extra inch. So what you'll have to do is that you have to measure then 5 inches total. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna start you off on this row here, or this round, and this round plus all the rest of the rounds will be identical until you get your total of 5 inches done, and then the extra inches at the top for the phantom, which I wouldn't worry about. So you're just gonna chain up to, or sorry, you're just gonna start and you're going to go into a chain 1 space. So just slip stitch to the chain 1 space and pull through. So every time you start a round you have to slip stitch to the space and then chain 2. This is your beginning cluster, and then you double crochet. Okay, that's a beginning cluster. Chain 1, and then just separate these clusters out and go into the chain 1 spaces and put clusters in. Okay, and this will then grow your hat. So just chain 1 and then cluster into the next one just like that, and keep doing that all the way around. So I'm coming all the way around and I'm just putting our clusters into each one of the chain 1 spaces followed by a chain 1. Okay, so once you get all the way back around you're just going to make sure you do your chain 1 first, and then you're just gonna join it to the top of the first beginning cluster. So what we're gonna do then is just continue the same pattern going all the way around. So slip stitch to the next one, next chain 1 space, chain 2, and double crochet. That's your beginning cluster once again. chain one, and just throw in a cluster in each one of these chain one spaces, again going all the way around. So I need you to continue this until you get to the band area. So a total of inches that you need from this particular point right here is 5 inches. Okay, so it actually says 6 on the original pattern, but that's because there was a top to it. So it's only 5 inches from here to here. So continue the same idea going all the way around and continue to grow it, and then I'll see you here at the band as we then carry on. You will find this will not take very long. So when I last left you, we were way up here and now we're at 5 inches. It did not take me very long at all, and that's it. So it would actually technically would be 6 if you had the top of this hat here. So what I want you to do now is that I want you to, if you want to change the color, you can do so now, and if you would like to keep the same color, then don't trim your yarn. So what I want you to do then is just weave in your yarn strand here, and I'm gonna choose a different color to do the band. The band is only 3 rounds, and there's a little bit of a trick in the second round, but it's not a big deal to worry about. Okay, so let me just come back here. Let me get my strand ready and I'll show you what to do next. So to begin the next part of the band, if you're not changing the color, just simply just chain up 1 and begin to single crochet around. If you're gonna join the next color, what I want you to do, sorry, I created a slip knot I didn't want to. So you have 2 choices. You can either begin a chain 1 space, or you can be in the top of a cluster. So what you have to just do is, I'm gonna go in the top of a cluster and just not tie your yarn, just loop it around and pull it through like that, and I want you to chain 1 and that'll lock it. So using this strand, pull it down on top, and I want you to single crochet into that same stitch that you just went into. So whenever it's a chain 1 space, you're going to single crochet. See what I'm doing here with this one here. I'm just going right up over top. The next one is the top of a cluster. Okay, just single crochet. Next one's chain 1 space, single crochet. Next one's top of a cluster. Okay, that's all you have to do for this round. So just single crochet. It's either in the chain 1 space or top of a cluster. Once you get buried enough, you can just simply trim out that yarn there and then carry on. So continue to do that. I'll see you at the end of this round. As you come all the way back around, I started in the top of a cluster if you remember. So here's one cluster here. So don't forget to go into the chain 1 space right before it. And I just want to slip stitch to the first single crochet. So the next round, what we're gonna do is that we're going to compress it to make it a little bit tighter. Okay, so we're gonna remove out 2 stitches of this one. So we're gonna chain 1, and in the first 2 we're gonna put those together. So insert into the first stitch, yarning over, pulling it through, and then go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on the hook, pull through all 3. So this became a single crochet 2 together. So for the next 18, there's just gonna be 1 single crochet in each. So let's count those out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Sorry, I have to go back to 18. I apologize about that. So there's 18 there. Sorry, I was getting carried away. So the next 2 are going to be 2 together. So just going in, pulling it through, and going into the next one, pull through, and put those 2 together. So the remaining now, going all the way back to the very beginning, is just 1 single crochet in each. You do not need to count it. You're pretty much good to go, and just single crochet to the beginning of the revolution. I'll see you back there in just a moment. So I'm coming back around, and I just single crochet right to the last one, and then just join it to the top of the beginning single crochet. So the final revolution is really quite simple, just 1 single crochet. So chain 1, 1 single crochet into each stitch going all the way around. Please do that, and I'll see you back here. I'll show you how to finish this off with the darning needle so that you have a nice perfect edge, and I'll see you back there in just a moment. So I'm coming all the way back around, and I just want to single crochet then the top of the beginning. Or sorry, slip stitch to the top of the beginning. So what I want to do now is that I want to trim this yarn, leave enough that you can put it into a darning needle, and then just pull it through the loop like that. Okay, so grab a darning needle at this point. Make sure that it will fit through the eye of the needle. Okay, so to get a perfect finish, if you go in and out of the project 3 times, you can secure this in. So just slipping underneath the stitches for about 1 inch. Okay, just right underneath, going through. Now don't pull it to the point it's gonna warp the edge. Now going in the other direction through a different path but very similar to it, if you go in the exact same path the fibers fall out. Okay, so just going in a different path in the other direction, and then going into the other direction one more time through a different path, and there you go. So now that straggler is now hidden completely, and you can safely trim it right down to the edge just like that. So this would be the ending of your bun hat for the 6 to 8 years of age, and you can see here you got the hole right on the top here. You got your beautiful band. These colors are pretty trending, and this is a good to go. So if you compare the other sizes of the 2 to 4, you can see that there is a fundamental difference between the sizes, just like you see if you lay them down over top. So until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of the Crochet Crowd and Yarnspirations.com. We'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.